believe we're coming in on the women's side the last week of conference play. So last weekend we had a very peaks and valleys weekend. Lost at SC in what was our worst performance of the season. Don't know why it happened. Just did not play well at all in any aspect of the game, and kind of got it taken to us. So that was disappointing, but incredibly proud of our group for bouncing back and beating a really hard to beat UCLA team at their place. And I didn't know this till after the game, but it was the first time in Pac-12 play that we've beaten UCLA. So that's a great win, and it was a must win. You know, we had to have it. We were down 8, I think, at halftime. We were getting good looks. We just weren't hitting them. And then in the second half scored 47 points and just did what we needed to do to win and controlled the whole thing. So great comeback win, and now we've got 2 games left. Very good Oregon State team in Oregon at home. So we play Thursday, 5:30 in a doubleheader-ish. Be a long day, but the hoop junkies can do the doubleheader, and then Oregon on Saturday. So it's winding down, but we still have our goals in front of us, and we're sitting in a good spot. We just got to take care of business from here on out. Can't have any more slip-ups.
And staying with Oregon State and Oregon State, at least based on projections, they're still kind of on that bubble. They're still fighting for that life. I mean, in essence, you still are as well, even though you're more locked in. What is it, you know, to be able to face a team like that that's going to be probably really scrappy, trying to stay in, and then you've got an Oregon team that is, you know, a really good team that took Stanford down to the wire. So
yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, we're finishing with 2 of the, you know, traditionally storied programs at home, and I'm glad we're at home. We've been on the road quite a bit. So I had to reintroduce myself to my family and my office. Wasn't sure what my key was. So it's fun to be back home. But Oregon State, yeah, they're playing for life. So are we. That game means a lot for both of us. They're very well coached, and they execute their stuff, you know, as well as anybody in the country. So that's going to be tough. And we're just going to go one at a time. Haven't thought about Oregon yet. We'll do that Friday night, or Thursday night. Yeah, Oregon State, that game is a must win for both programs. So what a fun game, and I hope we have a great crowd. We could use it. We need people in the stands. You know, they average about 6,000 fans, so if we could repay that favor, that'd be great. But yeah, it's going to be a big one.
Lynn, is there any chance for you guys to move up? As we've established before, I'm not good at math.
Me neither.
Getting into those top 4 is really big. Can you still do that?
We can, but instead, we're going to need some help from other people. Arizona, I think, is in 4th right now. We're in 5th. And we would need to probably win both, and they would need to lose at least 1. So, yeah, so we don't control our own destiny entirely, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is.
How big was it to get Jenna back? I know she didn't play versus USC, and then UCLA obviously made a big difference.
Yeah, it was huge. She just, you know, that was part of the reason why, you know, that was a variable in our performance on Friday against USC, was we didn't have Jenna, and we had to move people around, and we were very short in our front court. So having her back, I think she finished with 20 and hit a couple threes, made 8 free throws, 8 for 8. So it's just a nice presence to have. So hopefully, you know, she's back in a boot. So we'll see, you know, literally day to day. So I'm hoping that come Thursday, she's feeling ready to go, because we sure do need her.
With Gianna, I'm just curious, what does it do for your program to have her come in and be as productive as she has been in her first year, just from a recruiting aspect, but also from, you know, building the program as it is? Yeah,
she's been phenomenal. And the one thing I would say about her is that she's just consistently steady. Like you look up and you think, wow, she's got 15? Like, when did that happen? She just kind of is steady and fearless, is never scared of the moment. And I think she should win Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. I think that's pretty across the board. The coaches I've talked to, that's pretty standard. That's a pretty common thought. So, and it helps in recruiting, obviously. And we're recruiting pretty hard in that area, Minnesota, Wisconsin, all those guys. So that validates our presence there too.
And obviously, with the high school career she had, you thought she was going to be a productive player. Did you think it was going to come as fast as it did for her in the college level?
you never want to say you didn't know that, but I think it's been a surprise at how consistent she's been. Like that's not typical of a freshman. I knew she could score, and that's the exciting. We recruit scorers. It's the goal of the game to put the basket in score more baskets than the opponent. But I didn't know how quickly it would translate, and it translated really quickly. But she's been consistent. And even the games where she didn't maybe shoot a stellar shooting percentage, she still is doing other things that maybe don't show up. So it's been awesome to see her just settle in, and she's such a humble kid that there's no worry of her getting overconfident or getting too spooked. She's just steady, which is cool. I think the sky's the limit for her, and if she wants to be a professional, she can.
I'm interviewing Kennedy tomorrow. I've already talked to you about her and how you recruited her, but what question should I ask her that will bring out her personality and get me to know something about her that I didn't know?
That's a good question. I think she's very family driven, very much all about her family. She'll have 30 to 40 people at every game from Hannaford area, and I think her mom played at the U. Her dad was a manager of the women's team when Elaine Elliott was the coach. That's how they met. So I would ask her about her family, get her talking about that. And then I think the thing with Ken is that she is she loves doing the stuff that doesn't show up necessarily in the stats and the energy plays. Like, she loves being the catalyst for toughness plays, offensive rebounds, loose balls. The scoring's great, and she can, I think she's in the conference #1 player in points per possession. She's shooting at just a ridiculous percentage and taking great shots. So that goes without saying, but she loves the scrappy stuff. She takes pride in that. So maybe you can get her out of her shell talking about that a little bit too.
Do you guys call her Lightning McQueen?
I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
That's too good to
Yes,
pass
we
up.
do. We, especially by the time, end of their sophomore year, they've got about 6 nicknames, but that is definitely one, Lightning. Yes.
And then just your style of play, obviously you're close to the top of the country in three-pointers made. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say you live and die by the three-pointer because it doesn't look like you do. It doesn't look like that's your first kind of option. But is that sustainable, do you think, especially moving to postseason play?
Yeah.
Do you think?
That's a good question. I think as it gets into March and the NCAA tournament, you have to be able to execute in the half court. But I think so much of our offense is read and react, and so we're not designed for it to be a three-point shot. But if defenses collapse, which a lot of the stuff that we run is designed for that, then you can kick out. So yeah, I don't want to live and die by it. That's certainly not the goal. And we've shown that we're not. We've had, nights where we don't shoot at a high percentage, but we're still making, 6 or 7 or 8, which is a lot for most teams. But certainly in postseason play, you're right. You have to be able to execute in the half court. Both sides. You got to execute defensively in the half court and rotate and do all that good stuff, and then offensively too. So that's something actually in practice today we worked on, is scoring inside and how to get, not just the first level of looks, but second level, third level kind of stuff, because that's going to be really critical. You're right.
For you personally, how does recruiting change when you do have a successful season, or does it? Do you kind of stick to the same kind of plan and recruit the same type of athlete?
I think both. I think both. It's having, making the NCAA tournament, hopefully, it certainly validates in a different way out of region, out of the West, which is what we need. And, there's grid players in Utah, but there's not a roster full for us. And so we've got to go out of region, out of country. We've got to be, and so with those kids that maybe aren't familiar with Salt Lake City or whatever, to have the validation of the NCAA tournament and postseason and all that certainly helps. But we're going to continue to recruit the same kind of kids, the blue collar, kind of under the radar-ish kids that just thrive here. It's kind of like what our football team has done and done well with. That's kind of the kind of kids we get that love being here. So we're going to keep doing that.
different topic, but I mean, you knocked on wood, obviously, with the NCAA tournament. You've still got a while to go with that.
Yep.
But this would be your first opportunity as a Division I coach to do it. What does it mean to you personally to be able to have that?
Yeah, it's great. It's always the goal every year in and year out, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but that's the goal, man. That's the goal, and I've had some championship teams and close teams, and it's nice to not be in a one-bid league where if you don't win the conference tournament, you don't get in. So, yeah, I mean, it would mean a lot. I'd be lying if I said it didn't. But, you know, it's about the players, honestly, is who I think about, of, you know, the Drew Giltons and Andy Torres, those guys that have put so much blood, sweat, and tears into this place to get us there. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. See you Thursday, 5:30.
Marco, obviously we talked about this with the Bay Area sweep, but I mean, how does it feel now coming home knowing that you've still got a little bit to go, especially with Arizona coming up?
We're a confident group right now. We finally got over that bump in the road with the road games, and getting that sweep really helped our confidence, and we really feel like we have a lot of momentum right now.
What do you remember from the game down there in Tucson? And basically, you guys were in it with 12 minutes left.
Yeah, we had that stretch, obviously, where we let them get loose in transition, and that ultimately, let the game get away from us. But we're going to really lock in with the practices that we have for the remainder of the week to get ready for Thursday.
Just on a personal level, how do you compare in terms of rewarding this season has been for you as opposed to where your past seasons at Utah State and Virginia?
I think just growth in the leadership aspect of things, and especially the adversity that we've had to go through with the injuries and, the 10-game losing streak, and just having to deal with that. I really felt like that just allowed me to grow as a person, as a player.
As you kind of look back now, as almost the season is completed, how do you kind of view your move from Utah State to Utah, going from a very good Group of 5 school to a Power 5 school that's kind of building right now? How do you look back at that decision?
I don't regret it at all. I really value the decision I made, and I really felt that, it was best for me at the time. And, the group of guys that I'm with now is great, and I've just really loved, being here.
Have you decided yet whether you'll be back next year?
I have no idea right now.
Question for later.
Yeah, I have no idea right now. I'm just locked into Thursday with Arizona.
And then as far as you said, that kind of gave you a bump, the sweep. How has that manifested itself? Like like is practice crisper or more spirited?
Well, I feel like the past weeks we've been progressing well, and just the outcome hasn't been what we wanted, but just those games and you practice how you play, and our practices have been really good. They've been real consistent in how great they've been, and that's now shown in the past 2 games we played, and so I feel good.
Marco, a lot of people say that you learn the most when you lose, right? Like you got to fight adversity. What do you feel like you've learned this season that maybe has defined who you are, or maybe changed who you are this year?
Yeah, you just have to stay in the moment. I'm pretty sure that at times you could look in the past and be like, oh, we should have won this game, we should have won that game, we have this record right now, but that's just not how life goes. You just have to be in the present moment. So I would say that that's the biggest thing.
Sometimes a team will look at like one player as the guy, right? Like, he's going to score his buckets. But you guys have had a lot of different people. Obviously, you've come on really recently with rebounding and different areas that way. You're the leading scorer. But what is the makeup of this team that allows you guys to just kind of be so free that a lot of guys are able to do different things?
Well, we're just a selfless team. Our main goal is to win games, and nobody's looking at their own like individual statistics or anything like that. We're all just trying to impact winning.
Are you 22? Is it?
Yes,
22.
yes, sir.
What you said you haven't decided yet. What factors will go into your decision whether you come back or not?
Just how the remainder of the season ends up, how play goes, and then just just some factors. But again, I haven't really thought about any of that. I'm kind of just waiting as time goes on.
When you look back at your experience at Virginia and Utah State, what characteristics about this program right now kind of give you hope that this program is building you've been to the NCAA tournament multiple times. So what gives you hope that this program's moving in that direction?
Just how quick everybody's trusting the foundation that coach is trying to set, and then as well, I feel like I say this every time, but just how much we like each other, outside of basketball, and just the brotherhood that we have. I really feel like that would just continue to build throughout the years, and we'll just get where we want to get to.
I'm curious if you could kind of talk a little bit more about your relationship with the coaching staff right now, just in general.
Oh, well, that's great. I mean, I feel like I could go up to the coaches and, say what's ever on my mind. There's nothing that I have to hide from them or that I'm hesitant to ask or say whenever I'm around them. I just feel like, they're just always there, and they're real supportive in whatever's happening.
When you were here, you decided to come here. Had Pella Larson already decided to leave and go to Arizona?
Yes, sir.
So you didn't cross paths or anything?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So how would you describe the Wildcats just from watching film, and obviously number 2 in the country, number 2 in net? I mean, how good are they, I guess?
Well, they're a great team. I mean, it's no mistake that they're, the number 2 team in the country, and they just do a lot of great things. And like what we're trying to do, they really play off of each other, and they just really found success through teamwork and things in that nature. And it's going to be a great battle on Thursday.
Any other questions for Marco? All right. Thanks, Marco.
Appreciate y'all.
seems we got a couple more people in here. All right, thank you guys. What's the swamp hat?
It's my son's comp baseball team.
Oh.
Yeah.
I bet you get a lot of questions about that hat.
I didn't even know I had it on. First off, I guess the obligatory question: how's Brandon and kind of his progression?
Yeah, it's day to day. You know, he didn't do anything yesterday, and I don't anticipate him doing anything today. And so we'll see what happens tomorrow. But it's just a day-to-day deal right now, and it's just hard to know exactly how things are going to go until he goes through the whole treatment. But obviously, he's been getting treatment since. The good news is, like with ankle injuries, like it's nothing structural that we are aware of. He knows how to handle those sorts of things. He's been through it before. You know, sometimes when, you know, like Marco, when he hurt his ankle, he never had a sprained ankle in his life, which is amazing in and of itself. But BC's had plenty of them. And I always remember, and I think I said this after the game, when he sprained it for the first time this year at USC, I asked him in the airport the next day, how you doing? How's it feeling? And he goes, it's sore, it's tender, it hurts. But he goes, it's not the first time I've had a sprained ankle. I'll figure it out. So hopefully that's the same scenario this week.
With a team like Arizona, obviously you played him well that first half, the first time you played him, and then kind of things changed a little bit in the second half. But do you kind of use those games as a template, or things have changed enough over the few weeks that you've had that this game is completely different than maybe the last time?
Yeah, I watched that game this morning, actually. It was a 1-point game with just under 12 minutes to go. And we did a lot of really good things that game, but just not enough of them. You know, at the end of the day, we ended up losing by 18. But we did some really, really good things. I mean, I think we held them to 14 points the first 14 minutes of the game, and they still got 82. So, like, that tells you how good they are and how explosive they are. But certainly it's a template. Yeah, I mean, I guarantee you they're watching that game. And, of course, we're dissecting that game along with all the other ones that they've played since we played them. They're a different team, though. It's just amazing, the ebbs and flows of teams. And sometimes you watch a team and they're the same team as they were a month ago. Some teams get worse. Some teams get better. And they're playing the same 8 guys. I mean, they play 8 guys. That's what they play. So their personnel is all the same. You know, it's interesting. When we played them last time, you know, Brandon did not play. But 25 for them, their point guard didn't play either. So watching that game, they were a little bit different that game than they typically are. But watching us, we're way different now than we were 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. So it's certainly a template. Certainly you look at some things. How did they hurt us? How did we hurt them? You know, and then you're trying to anticipate what they're going to do differently, and they're doing the same with us. So, but certainly you got to watch that, see who's matching up with who, all the fun stuff that goes into game planning.
Craig, obviously you coach Marco at Utah State. He's emerged as kind of the leader, the voice of the team, kind of, maybe because John always has him come in here, I don't know. But is he changed, or is that the same Marco that was up there?
Marco's, you know, first of all, we recruited Marco at South Dakota, and Eric Peterson, our assistant that recruits in Texas, he, you know, brought his name to the table, went and watched him for the first time. I was like, there's no way in the world we're getting Marco. Just kind of blew up, and he committed to Virginia shortly thereafter. So first of all, when you're getting recruited by Virginia and you go to Virginia, you got to have some edge to you and a toughness about you, and obviously you better be able to guard people. And he does. He has all of that. And so, you know, you win a national title, and he had some things, and I'm sure he could talk more about it, but I believe the guy that recruited him left right away, so he didn't have like a relationship with some of the staff that way. But long and the short, he came to our place. He redshirted the first year because at that time there was no one-time transfer rule. He really got better, thought he really improved, and that redshirt year was very, very beneficial for him. And he was that guy at Utah State, but he's taking it to the next level in every way, shape, and form. So there, when Marco transferred in, we had some more established guys, specifically on the front court, right? Keita was an all-league guy. Justin Bean was an all-league guy. So we had like a winning culture, but our perimeter guys were essentially all brand new. Wooster, Stephen Ashworth, I go right down the line. A lot of freshmen, a lot of young guys. So he did really carry that mantra that way, and in a lot of respects with the team. He's a unique guy. He's incredibly funny. He's very articulate, communicates at a very high level. I'm sure you guys have experienced that. Just has great perspective. Sometimes I just want to, because I don't know if his heart rate ever gets over 50. And that can be a real positive thing, because I do think he's got great poise and a great demeanor about him. But sometimes I want to be like, Marco, but he's just a unique individual. And I always think, who have I coached that's like him? And I'm not sure there is a guy. But from the second he got here all summer, he had a great voice. It hurt us this summer. He had a stress fracture in his foot, so he missed some time this summer. And you could tell that, in individual in workouts and in the weight room, because we were missing his voice. And now here recently, he's had a really good season. I don't know if people understand how bad his ankle was. He missed 3 games, and it was a tough injury. And so I think now he's just finally, I said to him about probably 10 days ago, I was like, Marco, you've always been a supreme athlete, but I don't know if I've ever seen you this athletic. Just the way he's moving, the way he's exploding off of 2 feet. And I think it's a combination of 2 things. One, our strength coach, Logan Ogden, does a great job. 2, obviously, Marco is very gifted that way. 3, he's playing with a lot more pace and aggression. And it shows on the floor. He's attacking things now. He hasn't always done that consistently. He's certainly done that at times, but not every single game, every game where he just, boom, where his first step is just, right? Or when he's just in attack mode. Now, late in the year last year, we really started sending him to the offensive glass. We hadn't always done that, because you got to think about this with Marco. He's almost always guarding the other team's best player. And typically that's a guard, right? And so if you're flying to the offensive boards, a lot of times if that's a point guard or 2 guard, they're running out early. Maybe not early, but big guy gets a rebound, they're going. So now you're cross-matching, and we really like to keep Marco on that guy's guy. So at the end of last year, we really started selling out, go to the offensive glass. He's such a weapon. This year, he's taken it to the next level. What is he? I think he leads the Pac-12 in offensive rebounding. He's number 2 in the Pac-12 in overall rebounding. John just told me he's one of 7 guys in the country in February that averaged a double-double. And so when you get 10 offensive boards in a game, and who was that against? Oregon or Colorado? Against good teams, that's hard to do. And he had 8 in the other game. That's incredible. So Jay, he's really taken it to the next level, I think, in every way, shape, and form, in terms of being a leader, showing up every day. He's always showed up every day, but I'd say there's even more urgency now than he's ever had. And he's just, what you're going to get out of Marco on a day-to-day basis, and I think that's one of the most important attributes to have as a person and a player. You want me to keep going?
No. This answer might be even longer. I don't know. Obviously, every coach in America this week's being asked about the handshake line. Do you have an opinion on it? You see it?
Yeah, I think you should shake hands. Obviously, it's always interesting. You get to February, and it becomes a long season for a lot of people, and you just got to be able to keep perspective. And at the end of the day, if you're a teacher, if you're a coach, if you're a father, you're a mother, you're a grandparent, you're always trying to teach people what's right, so to speak. And you know what? When we've had plenty of losses this year, and we're always going to go through and shake hands. Obviously, there was a stretch this year where the Pac-12 said no handshakes because of COVID. But we're always you win, great game. You lose, congratulations, great game. Look them in the eye and go from there. I think you can find out a lot about people when you go through a handshake line and see what their temperament is like, and do they look you in the eye, and do they give you a good handshake, or do they kind of give you the blow-by? And we've experienced it all over the years, but I think that's part of the game is going through and having good sportsmanship.
Kind of going back to Marco, what was the pitch to get him to come here? I mean, he's been to the NCAA tournament multiple times, and to come here for potentially what could be his last season, to come to a rebuilding team. What did you kind of say to him to get him to come here?
Well, Marco's a winner first and foremost, and obviously NCAA tournament. He was a part of history his first year at Virginia, being the first 1 seed to lose to a 16 seed, and then he was a part of history his second year, winning a national championship, and came to Utah State, and we won our conference tournament championship and preseason top 25, and he was a redshirt year that year, and then last year when nobody thought we'd be very good, or certainly not a lot of people had us making the NCAA tournament. He was a huge part of that. Was a part of the all defensive team, only perimeter guard, only perimeter player to be on the Mountain West all defensive team last year. And then the pitch to come here, I think Marco's a relationship guy, and he's a competitor. So I think the combination of both. And the biggest reason we got him to Utah State was our previous relationship recruiting him. And I think he'd tell you the same thing. So being able to come there and go through, I think he really enjoyed his 2 years. I think he saw how much he got better and improved. And we're communicative, and we help guys. At least we try to help guys get better and be a relationship program. And I think he really appreciated that because of his experience. And he'd have to get more into that. I guess I can't speak for him, but because of his previous experiences. So I'm not sure we had to say a whole lot, but obviously this place has amazing, our facilities, to academic support, to athletic training, to just our support personnel, our tools of leadership per se, from top to bottom, from nutrition, just all the way down the line is first class in every way, shape, and form. But I think at the end of the day, it was the relationships, and there's a comfort level, and then having that and being able to play in one of the best leagues in the world.
When it comes to seeding or conference standings, do you care kind of where you're at? Do you kind of care at the end of the season if you're ranked 9th or 11th or 12th? Obviously you want to do as well as you can, but what's your philosophy with that, especially going into a tournament?
It's one of the first years. I shouldn't say it's one of the first. I don't. You call me crazy. I'm probably really different than most coaches in this respect, and I know this might sound cliche-ish, and it's not cliche-ish. I don't look at the standings a ton. Cause I told our guys 2-3 weeks ago, and I genuinely didn't look at any standings for a long time, and you can figure out why. January wasn't kind, but I've always kind of had that mentality. Every day you wake up, we're 0-0. So I told the guys this, 2-3 weeks ago, but you know what? When we were winning all those games at Utah State and South Dakota and Mayville, I did the same thing. Because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter for postseason play. Of course it does, right? You build your resume. However, beating San Diego State on last Saturday does nothing for us to win on Wednesday, or beating Cal on Saturday doesn't help us beat Arizona. Maybe it does from a confidence standpoint, but if you wake up every day being 0-0, you got to go and earn it. You got to go and prove yourself. So that's just how I've always approached things. Let's get better today. And then in terms of a standing, I literally didn't look at a standings because I knew where we were for a long time, or the general vicinity that we were. So no, I don't put any thought into that. Let's just be the best that we can be and try to go out and find a way to give Arizona our best shot. And, I did look at because now every broadcast you watch, they post them all the time. So now you can't, but I know there's a log jam from 4 through whatever, 9 or 10 probably. And it's it doesn't even matter. Nobody knows who's going to finish where. Let's just be our best today. Any questions for Coach? All right, guys. Wow. Easy today.